Repeat what you said, Maya. What'd you say? I'm all what? I'm all cried out.
No, I said you all breast out. That's what you are. And
You said
actually, what I said was your titty out because I was like, dude, whoa, hold up, all that right there, bam, yeah, okay.
doesn't happen often, I just take over the moment. Well, you know what? I just want to say welcome. I see Trey is in the room, Mel is in the room. Welcome to the spectacular Akai and Raeh event. I'm your host, LaDonna Raeh,
I am Maya Akai.
and Maya Akai is back from Cabo. Girl, I thought you moved there.
The thought crossed my mind, the ocean is very therapeutic to me. So the idea of being around water consistently, that works for me. Beautiful. If you, I'm sure plenty of people have been to Mexico. If you've never been to Cabo on the Pacific side, I'd say check it out because it's different than being like in Puerto Vallarta. It's different than being in Cancun or even Acapulco. It just has a different vibe.
A different vibe. So I've been to Puerto Rico, and even though it was a beautiful disaster there because Hurricane, I forgot her name, but anyway, the hurricane had just left there, and it was still a beautiful place to be. So is it kind of the same thing in Cabo?
Mm, I mean, no, because obviously it wasn't affected the same way because it's not, and many of like, for instance, anything that's on the side of Mexico that's in the Gulf, they were affected. So Cancun had some stuff in there, but Cabo is on the Pacific Ocean side,
Mm-hmm.
so wasn't affected. Probably the biggest thing because it was like the second time I've been. They had said that obviously there was a setback with COVID because people weren't
Yeah.
traveling, but it's clearly like one of the safest places, very clean, very modern, lots of money. I'd say it's your money center. But think about it. It's in the Baja Peninsula. It's right down from California. So you have a
Oh,
lot of people from California that go into Cabo. So it's just a different flow of money and kind of people interacting. Even people who are from there, like, oh, this has changed over the last 30 years. It's like built up. It's very ritzy, so to speak. But I like it. It's very nice.
I like ritzy. I like ritzy. You like ritzy. It's all good.
I mean,
Ritzy.
it's not a bad ritzy. I mean, it's a good balance. It's a good
Okay.
balance. So I'd
Hey,
say if you're a Cancun person, I'd say try this out and see how you like it.
what if you've never been to Cancun and you feel like you're a Cancun person? Is that possible? I feel like I'm a Cancun person. I've seen enough pictures.
Probably. I mean, it has that overall kind of Caribbean feel. Not granted, it's in Mexico, but beaches, tourism, lots of you go downtown. By the way, downtown Cancun, I remember being there like 15 years ago. And within that time span of not going back, how much it's changed and built up and commercialized. So even within 10 to 15 years, it's changed. So I mean, Cancun is still nice. I still enjoy it. I just,
Yeah.
they have two different vibes. That's all.
Okay. Well, enough about Cancun. Guess what? Tonight, our title, our main topic is what makes you a good lover if you're not packing. Now, for those of you that don't know what that means, it means that if you have a very small tool to work with, can you be considered a good lover? We're also going to talk about how does genital size determine your arrogance? Like the bigger the genitalia, do you become more arrogant? And does a good looking man get a pass if he doesn't have his shit together? If you good looking, fine, got that hair going, do people tend to put up with your bullshit just because you're a good looking chiseled man and you're taller than, most men? I don't know. And I guess, Maya, are you really wanting to go into timing is everything? Be aware of your vulnerability and grieving your love and beyond.
Of course, timing is
Oh,
everything. Yes, you
oh,
have to. Yes, yes. You must know these things. You have to be able to identify certain things so that you can position yourself in different situations and not keep repeating the same patterns of behavior.
yeah, this is true.
Breaking the cycle. You can't break the cycle unless you understand what the cycle is.
Well, you know what? I recently defined my cycle, but before I get to that, I definitely want to acknowledge the people in the room. So, for those of you on Clubhouse, we are on Clubhouse as well. We're on Clubhouse, YouTube, Facebook. We're everywhere. We're on Spotify. Watch this. We got Trey in the building. Hello,
Okay.
Trey. What say hello?
Hey,
Uh-oh, why
Trey.
am I not hearing Trey? I can't hear you.
Trey, I can't hear you. We'll figure
Trey,
that out.
Trey, I can't hear you.
Okay,
Okay,
somebody's. Boy,
he's
you got
leaving.
this.
And then we got Mall, I should say. Mall 4X is in the room.
Okay.
He is definitely listening in Clubhouse. Now, if you don't mind, just bring some people in. And the rules, we don't have rules, but it's very much so an observation. If someone's talking, wait till your mic is clear or the mic is clear, and then give us your feedback on the topic at hand. So we will get started. I just want to welcome you guys for watching the show. Trey, can you try your mic now?
We're trying to get Trey mic'd up. We're gonna figure that out. We're gonna figure that out.
I know he's talking. For some reason, I'm not hearing him. But Trey can hear me, so that I know that's working. So
So part of
we'll
the
have,
process is just not all of it, but we'll get there. We'll figure it out.
yeah. All right. Well, Trey, if you have to, just get out and go back in if that works. And invite some people into the room. Okay, so Maya Akai, I am so excited to have you back. Okay. And one thing that I know is that you have something to say about everything we've talked about, and the things you say are super spectacular. That's why I
I
said
have I
spectacular.
have something to say. I
I
have something to say. Okay.
what? No, not you're saying I do?
Oh, yeah. People could be a fly in the room when we put these conversations together. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Well, I got a question for you, and like the topic said, um, when a man has a big, giant foot size, shoe size, and everything else falls into place with that shoe size, do you find that those men are more arrogant than others?
it's funny because this conversation has come up, and I've actually heard men talk about this. And what's interesting is that, first of all, there's the assumption that shoe size equates to what a man will be endowed with. And, anatomically, let's be honest, we're adults here, so we can say the word penis. We're adults here. So let's
Penis sounds small though.
Okay, but either way, that's actually what it's called. But you can refer to it how you want to: package, penis, dick, whatever it is you want to
I
call it.
like that one. I like that one.
Um,
Yeah.
we have to stop making everything a taboo. Like, we make everything so taboo, and then people go act out and do nasty stuff anyways. So won't we just be adult about it? It's what it's called. It's not pee-pees. It's not wee-wees. We tell children that. It's like, stop it. Stop making something taboo. But whatever you want to call it. FYI,
It's a
God, I
good
hate to put this out there because it sounds bad, but I remember the conversation about a specific basketball player who was known to play for the Lakers and maybe even some other teams, and 7-footer, which means very large shoe. Rumor had it that did not equate. But then I always look at somebody and say, well, let's talk about this. If somebody has like a size, I don't know, 18 foot, do you
yeah.
really see that equate?
Well, I met someone recently that has a
You
size.
really want that to equate that same way? I don't know. You might be careful what you're asking for. I
Well, this,
mean,
this is true. I met someone who has a size 16 shoe just recently, and
okay,
I'm looking like they're like 6 feet 6 inches, and their
okay,
shoe size is a size 16,
okay,
and their voice is really deep.
okay.
If if it's not like humongous, I'm gonna be like, not to say that I would find out. I'm not assuming. I'm just saying you would look at a
Mhm.
person like that and assume that that's what they're working with. I'm just saying. But
Um,
what if it's not?
because I think we have to stop. I think it's a myth. Like, that'd be like, oh, okay, let me just put it out there. It's like saying that all men of color, specifically black men, are well endowed. We know that's a lie. So you got to be a myth buster on this and
Yeah.
realize just because somebody is tall and has a large shoe does not mean automatically, because that's kind of like urban legend. Like, it's going to be a given, not necessarily. But the
Yeah.
question is this. So now I feel like we have to set standards. So what becomes acceptable to you for the guy who was 6'6", a size 16 shoe, really deep, very wise voice? Okay, if you let the cat out the bag, meow, what exactly to you is a good, respectable kitty? That sounds bad because that's for women. So if we let
Right.
the cat out the bag, okay,
The
drop the
dog
cat.
out the fire engine out of the
Yeah, the dog out the doghouse, however you want to affirm it, because kitties
Yeah,
is that's kind of reserved for women. So,
it is
or
really.
we'll keep it out there. So, I'm gonna ask you this question based on the logistics that you've taken in and you've assessed.
Yeah.
What for you would be reasonable that you wouldn't be disappointed?
Um, so the other myth before I answer that woman who has had a bunch of children is just a huge situation. Like you're gonna just fall in, right? That's a myth. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, but I think it depends on the woman, like where her where her what am I, 5 right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're struggling with this. Let it
I
out.
am struggling with it. Where his okay, how it fits with her is what I'm trying to say.
Does it
If
fit
it
like a glove?
does it fit like a glove or does it fit like there's no love? You
Okay,
know
well,
what
here's what's interesting. Well, now this becomes something that has a tandem relationship.
okay.
So,
There's no love.
okay, well,
So
that's kind of interesting because you said as a woman who's had X amount of kids, I'm assuming that what you're referencing, not without being too specific about it, is that your particular garage,
there you go.
it might be might need a Mack truck, it just depends. Now,
Okay.
mind you, on the opposite side, boy, ain't this personal conversation. I never had children. So is it more about us and what accommodates us based on, let's say, usage, accommodations, space?
I
Or is
don't
it
think
really just about them? I mean, because you put a very interesting narrative on the table. If you're
Mhm.
going to judge him, let's just say you didn't answer my question. Let's say he drops it and he's a solid 8.5, 9.
8.5 what inches?
Yeah, 9. Is
Okay.
that fair? Is that good enough for you?
Yeah, that's good. Let's see. This is about 8.5 inches, this sheet of paper.
I think you personally had that prop ready to go.
Yeah, I really didn't, but this is a sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11. So
Right, right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that would work. Okay, so what happens? Let's say he drops it and it's only 7.
7 is fine.
Now, are we also getting into dimensions here? Because it's we're
Well,
talking length,
girth matters.
right?
Okay, so yes, girth matters.
So the problem I always see with this kind of conversation is I think everybody has to judge individually because let's say maybe he's not as endowed as you'd like for him to be. But what happens if he compensates in other areas?
Then we're fine. I mean, if you're not endowed and you're a lazy lover and you're not doing other things like, pleasuring with your other appendages, then there's a problem.
Say oral sex. Thank you.
Okay, that and your fingers and toes and
What?
elbows.
Okay. I'm not sure if I need all that extra stuff. But see, that's why I'm saying you have to strike a balance. But the problem is that we live in a society where we like to put a lot of value on size. So, what do they say? Everything's bigger in Texas, or go big or go home. I mean, we have all these sayings that equate to we put more value into the size of things. We think it gives it greater value. But what if something is just average, but yet the quality of what makes it average is exceptional?
Right.
Then what?
Yeah. Well, I've been on both sides of the fence. The few people that I have decided to have relations with, um, some were really small
Wow, she
and
said teeny tiny, itsy bitsy, itsy
and
bitsy.
some were
Okay.
and some were really large. There was no guarantee of the large that it was going to be pleasurable, and there was no guarantee of the small that it was going to be terrible. Trey, are you ready? Are you able to talk now?
There you go. And that's the part that I think when you approach people in this particular situation, for one, look at everybody as an individual. And, for instance, let's just say you're with somebody and God, I feel like I'm like, what was once upon a time the older lady that was a sex therapist, Dr. Ruth. Gosh,
Dr.
I'm
Ruth.
feeling very Dr. Ruth because back then she had some really like salient, important conversations about understanding sexuality, and she
Yeah,
was ahead of her time if you think about it.
mhm,
This is very Dr. Ruth like, so to speak.
it can be.
Um, I think it's important that one, don't go in with a set standard of what you think is acceptable. It should be about the entire experience with that individual. Because let's just say they have phenomenal foreplay. and you're into it. All of a sudden, would it like just ruin it if you got to that part and it was like, oh, or can you make that adjustment? I don't know. See, that's the thing. Everybody has something that works for them. So somebody might be like, actually, no, I was kind of okay. He compensated in other ways, so we're all good. I don't know. Everybody has individual needs, and I think you have to judge each person because I'm sure men would have the same conversation, just like you talked about women. They might be like, well, it was like throwing a hot dog down a hall. I mean,
Oh,
how much, how much can I, really dig into that if it's, kind of
no pun intended on the dig in.
just hence. But by the way, women get an advantage that men don't get because now there are procedures to work on kind of improving the quality of the kitty.
You're right.
There's
You're
actually
right.
surgeons that you can go in and tighten. We
Yes.
all know about the steamings, so women get a couple more things they can do to try to like right the ship a bit more. Whereas men, you kind of got what you got,
No, that's
so
not
to speak.
true. Men can get enhanced as well. Men
Yeah,
enhanced as well.
yeah. So, but I think you have to look at each individual person and let the experience sit for what it is, opposed to judging what you think they're coming to the table with. Because here's the thing, if you have this expectation and they don't meet it, then you're disappointed. But was that ever fair in the first place?
Uh, it's not fair. I mean, because sex should be it should be mental, in my opinion. I mean, if it's a physical thing for you, then watch porn or become a porn star. But
Did-
if
What?
you're I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, you're hearing this me. I'm sorry. I was being nosy. You invited me something and I picked it up too soon. Sorry.
Oh, you just have to mute yourself
Oh,
in your clubhouse.
yeah, right. It kind of threw me off. Go on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I think that I'm able to get into it if I'm mentally stimulated by that person, period. It's not about size.
okay. Okay.
Obviously, it's not
Well,
about size.
I think that's like I said, but I'll tell you, I'll say it again though. Some people might feel that is something that's important. That just for instance, like you may have men that'll be like, I happen to like this particular feature. Like I like a woman who's well endowed in regards to her breast size, or some guys like, large derrieres, whatever it is. Everybody has something they prefer. But so if that's a caveat for you and looking for a partner, then that's you. And I'm not, again, it's not for me to diminish it, but I would hope that if you're looking for something serious, that you wouldn't write somebody off for just that one thing, especially if they hit other markers for you,
Mhm.
like, then I hope that wouldn't be the one thing you would just toss them back out because of, oh, I think I only deal with guys that are this or that. Okay, I guess.
Well, sort of. Yeah, but does it really increase their level of arrogance? Is was the original question.
Oh yes, I think a lot of men lead with that, just like a lot of men lead with if they have money.
Hmm.
Um, we know what society is. Look at it this way. I always feel like lightning doesn't strike in the same place. So chances are, if he's balling, he may not be balling everywhere else. So men tend to lead with whatever their kind of, I guess, best attribute that they've deemed it is. So I do believe that when men are well endowed, they tend to like to lead with that. A lot of them do, not everybody, because you can never say everyone, just some. Just like men like to lead if they're wealthy, they like to lead with that. And women are
Yeah.
no better. We lead with things that we think is our best attribute, so to speak. So yes, I do. I believe that men, when they're well endowed, they like to put that out there as much as they possibly can.
I don't feel like I have a best physical attribute. I mean, it gets pointed out from time to time, but I really don't see it. Is that like, am I in some type of denial?
You don't think you can pinpoint what you think your best attribute is?
I think my best attribute is my smile.
Okay. I'm
What
what's
what
but
what
my
we
thing is,
talking
what's
about?
wrong with that?
What's wrong with what?
If you feel like your best attribute is your smile, why is that a bad thing?
I didn't say it was a bad thing. I'm talking about, how men may point out um, something other than that. Like
Well, but okay, but see, that's perfectly natural because what you may think is your best attribute doesn't mean that someone who sees you is going to be drawn to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can like what you like about yourself. That's an independent experience. That doesn't mean when you meet a guy, he's gonna be like, oh my God, you've got the best. Like right now, if I met you as a guy, I wouldn't be like, you've got the best smile ever. I'd be like, look at your tatas. They're like out.
What, today? Are they really?
Yes, today, right now, in this moment, you do have a very beautiful smile, but that's probably as a guy I would, yeah, go ahead, lean back, lean back. Anyways, I
Okay.
probably wouldn't be looking at that, so to speak.
Oh, oh,
So men like what they like. And yes, you can have an amazing smile, but that doesn't mean that's going to be the thing that draws him to you, so to speak.
I see. All right. Well, eyes up here. Okay. Eyes up here. All right. You're watching the spectacular Akai and Ray show where we talk about adult topics like those things where you go, what did they say? Yes. So tonight we're talking about does genitalia or genital size determine arrogance on a man? And we're talking about does the size or does what make you a good lover, can you be a good lover if you're not packing? Also, do good looking go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go put it on the table because I want to put a comment out that someone said.
Okay, I'm gonna say that, what if you're well, I forgot. Oh, no, 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 I didn't forget. Do good looking men that those thick eyebrows, beautiful eyelashes, beautiful smiles, nice six pack, do they get a pass if they don't have their shit together just because of their looks? What do you say, Ra? Do they get a pass? I'm just curious.
If they're talking, we can't hear them.
Yeah, they're not up. They didn't accept the microphone. So, Rob, thank you for joining us in this room. It's in addition to us on YouTube. We're on YouTube also, but we use Clubhouse as well to have you guys chime in onto the show. So this is the spectacular Akai and Ray show where we do a YouTube every single Sunday at 8 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever time. And we talk about adult stuff. So, Ra, I don't know if you can handle it. But if you're interested in coming up on stage, just go ahead and raise your hand and I will bring you up. Those of you watching on YouTube, we also have Clubhouse connected to the show as well. This is something new we're trying. So
Yes.
this way, YouTube can hear what Clubhouse folks have to say, and Clubhouse folks can interact with what we're doing on YouTube. Simple as that.
There you go. A little
All right.
cross connecting here, cross talk, good stuff.
Yeah, just a tad, just a tad. So you were saying,
Actually, again, we're having like this. Is what happens when you go away for a little bit and you come back and everything isn't succinct. So Jeremy Coulter, I want to put his
mhm,
comment on, but it's restricting my ability to do so. Made a comment to say it's human nature to lead with what people think are their strongest features. Yes and no. Um, I think when we're younger, we tend to do that. Like, and actually, I'll agree to a certain point. I do think that women work really hard to lead with what they believe men like and what is their strongest feature. I do agree with that. But there becomes a certain point in time when you kind of go, like from a personality standpoint, I've actually never been that person. I've actually been exactly the opposite on purpose, like
mhm,
legitimately on purpose.
yeah,
So, but I do believe from a cultural standpoint in our society, absolutely there's a reason why beauty is $1 billion business because people are trying to actuate, accentuate, put out there what they think is the best feature. And I'd ask this to people watching the show because I know how I feel about it, and I've asked men, and they've actually said agreed. I don't think that ass implants are attractive. I think it looks weird. It's like way bigger than life. It distorts the actual to me physique of the woman. It looks weird. It looks cartoonish. It looks weird. And I actually asked men, can I ask you a question? Do you find that attractive? Because it looks weird to me. And most men have said not to that degree. There's nothing wrong if a woman, has a nice figure and she happens to have a natural behind. But most men have said they do think it looks kind of weird when women do this really, it goes beyond accentuation at that point. It's an exaggeration that looks unreal. Most men I've heard say, not so much. It's a little too much. Just curious.
can I just say, ladies, if you get ass implants, make sure your arm length can reach around your ass because if it's too big, your arms are too short to wipe. where you need to wipe, and
Your
that
arms,
is not cute at all. Sorry.
your, your arms are too short to box for God. Anyways,
Yeah, your arms
um,
short to wipe that new big ass of yours that you didn't have, just 6 weeks ago. I'm just saying.
no, it is. It just to me, I just look at it. I'm like, it just looks so absolutely crazy.
Oh, Jeremy says this. Jeremy,
Jeremy's going on today. He's on there.
yeah, he says a small tool can be made up for with a strong tongue. Let me tell you something. I knew someone with a small tool that did not use their tongue. What do you do then? You dump them. Okay, here we go. Next, we got Shay Stadium saying, "Hey sis, hey Shay." Shay said, "Oh, here we go. We did this thing for Jesus. I'm proud of us." Okay, all right. Or are you saying Jesus? Because we're talking about Jesus right now.
Okay.
Okay, and then we've got Shay saying, "Congrats, got interview. Thank you so much." And then Jeremy says, "It's not only length. I agree. It's girth.
Yes,
Okay,
it's a
it's girth.
combination. It's a
Yes, it's a
combination.
all right. I love it. Okay, so let me take these out and just say that, Maya, I think that we're really, I'm getting more comfortable with talking with you on this platform about things that people don't like to talk about,
Of course.
but I still have, I'm still shy. I know you don't believe that, but I'm still shy.
Hmm. Yeah.
I am.
Okay.
No, seriously. I mean,
Well,
just last week, I brought up the therapist, Shabri Rawls.
mhm.
She went viral because she's a mental health therapist that said black men need to seek therapy. Did you hear about that? I know you're a mental health therapist as well.
I don't know why that trended because it's a fact. In general, people need to seek therapy, but yes, it's
She
true.
lost her job, Maya. They fired
Well,
her because she said that.
well, that's ridiculous. And my thing is, I didn't hear what she said, but I guess I'd be curious what the narrative was. Like, did you give explanation? And I would agree with her because of the amount of black men that have actually done therapy or had it within a crisis situation who who needed it, but because of pride and because of cultural misnomers, don't seek help, and they remain in emotional and mental ignorance, which affects the quality of your life at the end of the day.
And I'm asking this because do men that suffer from, and I'm saying suffer, do men that suffer from measuring up to what they think is not big enough, do they suffer from mental health issues? I'm just curious.
I guess it depends on the nature of the experiences that you had. Um, unfortunately, negative reinforcement can be a pain in the ass. So if you feel like you kept getting dumped because that you didn't measure up that way, then of course it's going to have a negative effect on you.
Oh,
But then I also would say, but then look at the people who discounted you because of that very thing. If you legitimately are a quality man, like let's just say you're like a great catch, but you're not the biggest catch.
literally. Sorry.
A good woman is going to be able to differentiate these things because you know what you're looking for and you realize it's not a one-dimensional thing. Don't think for one reason I'm not saying that sexual attraction and interaction isn't important because it is, but I think you got to put things in perspective. You can't be all things and everything to everyone. I mean, like I said, men have their own caveats. Like they'll be like, I like this and I like that. And I be like, look, if you like somebody skinny, you can keep walking past me. Because even on my best day, the best version of myself, I've never been like this rail skinny person. It's just not
Mm.
me. And I was like, but what I'm not trying to do is do all these things to try to be something that I'm not. So you got to find somebody who appreciates you for you. And if that's the thing, if a woman's like, I got to have a man that's dropping it, okay, then it may not be you, and you should move on.
Wow. Jam.
You know.
Well, look at
But at
that
least
right
I've never had a guy come in therapy though and talk about that piece. So.
there. He said, listen, Doc, it'll go something like this. Doc, can I talk to you for a minute? Um, I'm having some issues with things going on down there. It's just let's just say I'm like this right here, and I want to be a little bit more like this.
Look at her props.
Uh,
Visual aids to the
I'm just
broadcast.
saying, and or even like this. Okay. But my girl is just not, he doesn't seem to be into me because I'm like this. What do you suggest, Doc? What do you tell him?
That's not an easy conversation because within his very question he posed to me, he already had the answer. If she's not into you because of that, the question I would ask is, what is the rest of your relationship like outside the bedroom? That's the first question. And then when you get into the bedroom, what is your sex life like? Like, is it actually engaging? Like, let's be honest. And we talked about this. 50 Shades of Grey piqued everybody's interest
Mhm.
because it presented sexuality and desire in a different way. By the way, I've never seen the movies. I've only read the books well before they became popular. By the way, you're doing yourself a disservice. You should read the books
Yeah.
because it requires detail and description. That in the movie, it would borderline probably be soft porn if they would have done it the way they should have done it. But Christian Grey piqued everyone's interest because what he was doing, he wasn't one dimensional in how he approached things. And you know what nobody ever thought about in the whole narrative of 50 Shades of Grey was he endowed? Now mind you, he was also
Never said.
wealthy.
It never said.
It never said it. It never
Well,
even talked about
then he
any
made up for it.
any of anything at all. Now, mind you, it didn't help that he was extremely, wealthy and allegedly attractive and blah 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 blah. But that's the one dynamic that never came up, even in the books, was what was his size. Now
Size,
his
size matter.
demeanor was big. His demeanor was big. I'll tell you that.
Well, look at this. Ross says, talk about women being dry in the booty.
Oh my God, Ross, you're so raw. Shame on you. But okay, but here's real adult talk. That is part of, depending on who you're sleeping with, that actually can be a part of menopause that women have to deal with. So for instance, men also go through menopause. No one talks about that, by the way. They call it a midlife crisis where they start having erectile dysfunction, things of that nature. It's a similar situation with women as they go through menopause. As their estrogen level drops, if they are not sexually active, that becomes a side effect along with atrophy as well, where the vagina actually can reduce in size, which people think that's great, but that's why it can become painful sex for women. That's part of menopause. So there are actually things that women can do to correct that, but she should be aware of it. She should be very aware that it's happening.
Well, I eat plenty of yogurt and drink plenty of water to
That's
avoid these pitfalls, okay? It's so
that's
important that you understand your body. What?
it is
That's not
slow, but
true?
well, I mean, it lends to it. But as your estrogen level drops, there's some
Yeah.
things that are hard to correct. You have to do some other things, and that
Yeah,
would
like
probably
eat
be there's
tofu
different
has
there's different ways you can increase estrogen in your body naturally, but women have to be aware. The thing is, we never talk about these changes. We talk about menopause in a very light way, like, oh, you have fatigue and hot sweats, and you put on like 10 pounds in your midriff. We talk about those things. We don't really get into the skinny of how it affects your sex life, how the way it also affects your mood. Menopause can make women raging bitches, seriously, and people don't get it. They're like, why is she so different? They have no Women don't sometimes know when they have a mood shift, like
yeah.
dramatically, that menopause could be playing into it.
Yeah.
So, Ross, there's an answer for everything.
Oh. Like, get your lube, man. Get your lube. All right. Mimi Gates, she goes back to the booty conversation. She said, I prayed for my booty. More than a handful is a waste of anything.
I
Oh,
agree. The same thing can be said about breast. I don't know, when people get like they want M cups, I'm like, why? Why do you want boobs that look like basketballs? How is that
yeah.
normal?
Yeah. It's like I like my small boobs because they'll never sag. What?
I
What?
don't. They don't look small from this angle unless you have a hell of a bra. But
I don't know what's going on today, really.
you
These
know
are the
what's going
days.
on.
No, I don't.
You put them puppies up. Don't be
No, I
trying to.
didn't. I'm literally, just, I didn't do anything today.
None of us believe this, but okay.
Hey, it could be that time. Okay. But yeah, she prayed for her booty. I prayed for my boobs. Here we go. Next question. Next comment. We have Jeremy saying, I was so I would so know pat or not pass, but for me, it's not all. I don't know what you're saying, Jeremy. I really don't. Can you please revise that? Let's go back. Jeremy says physical, but who has all their shit together. Okay, so right, I think he's referring to the question that we have up next, Maya, on the Spectacular Akai and Ray event. I love getting your questions and your concerns. I'm getting text messages also. I'm just trying to manage it all.
Yeah, they're
But
probably telling you your boobs are like on 10 today. Anyway,
nobody's saying anything about my boobs except for you. Okay? Show me your boobs.
no,
See? Last time I asked you if you talk during sex, you wouldn't tell me that. Now you won't show me your boobs. You're just too darn private.
yeah, some of us are like that.
Yeah. But you're Aquarius like me. So what are you on the cusp?
No, I'm very much dead smack in the sign.
Yeah. So am I. So I don't
Just
know what's going on.
some
But
of us, some of us just move in silence.
yeah, there's nothing silent about you.
I beg to differ on that. But anyways,
Yeah. Does a good looking man get a pass if he doesn't have his shit together?
depends on what you need them for.
Okay. Okay. All right. So a good looking man, he might get a pass if he doesn't have his shit together. If you need him for something else, like what?
Okay, let's everything has a purpose. Like you said, you should do things with intention and purpose. So if you're just looking to hang out with somebody and you're not looking for any strong commitment, what's wrong with some eye candy? I mean, you're not looking for anything more than what that is. So if you're not looking for him to like be your companion, any of that, except for maybe if you find him attractive and you would like to explore those routes sexually, then okay, does it matter what he has together? That's not what you want him for. Now, on the flip side, if you're looking for a companion, oh wait, too, I'll throw a caveat in there. If you are in, let's just say, the baby making phase of your life, you might be a bit more mindful what a guy looks like. Once upon a time when I explored the idea I might want to have kids, which never happened, one key trait for me that I was fixated on was tall men, because I am
Short.
a bridge troll, like literally, like scraping. I'm short. So I needed somebody else to deal the trait that I didn't have. Seriously. Um, so I am like a little munchkin. I'm short. Seriously. I'm gonna be so short when I get older. You shrink. Anyways, so height was always something to me that was an attracting factor. I mean, when I say I dated tall
Because
men,
you, because you didn't have it.
I didn't have it. So 6'6", 6'8", 6'11", you name it. I was shooting for the stars because I needed compensation because I didn't have it. Now I was like, when it comes to brains, I got this. You could be dumb as a box of rocks. I got this. I'm just
No.
joking. No, you could not. I'm just joking. You cannot. All DNA is not created equal. I say that all the time. So that was something for me that was an attractive factor. I looked at people's height first, and then I just kind of worked right down from there. So it depends. Now, if you're looking for a companion, then you have to put all things on the table. Are you okay with a guy who's hot? He looks great on your arm, but he can't pay a bill. He doesn't have a car. He's not self sufficient. He has no ambition. What's the point of that?
Okay. First of all, I'm not okay with it. But those individuals sometimes can slide in. I mean, I've dated some really nice looking men. I, as a matter of fact, I have a fetish for someone. First of all, I love dark skin. I love black men. I love dark eyebrows. That is like, I'm a sucker for eyebrows. And height, someone taller than me is definitely a given. Like I
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
How tall are you? You're like what, 5?
I'm 5'6".
Okay.
But
So
I wear heels all the time, with the exception of the days that I take care of my dad. But I wear heels all the time. So I'm lifted up, at any given time. And I don't want to worry about that. I've worried about that before with, someone who was my height. I'm like, well, how tall are you? Oh, we have that in common. That's not gonna work. I can't date someone that's 5'6".
again, it's funny and it's sad. Neither can I.
Jeez.
And technically, they're taller than me. I have a tall fetish.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about I need you to be like well over 6 foot.
Yeah, you've got issues, okay? Because
No, I got issues.
you're
Everybody likes what they like. Everybody likes what they like, and that's one of my likes.
you're 4'8".
I'm not 4'8". Don't make me reach through here and slap the shit out of you. Don't insult me like that. Got jokes, right? I can say I'm a bridge troll. You don't get to make short jokes. Okay.
You told me that before.
And I laugh because people meet me and they go, "Oh my God, you're so
So
small."
short. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not small. I'm short. There's nothing else about me that's small. I'm just short.
I
Yeah.
yeah, that this is true. Okay, so here's the thing. My I think that, take I have done this. Now I have done this once in my yeah, twice in my life where someone who was, just really good looking that did not have their shit together, I felt like I could be the savior. I felt like I could like overly compensate and help them be a better man. And it wasn't because I was so fixated on their looks. It's because they used their looks as almost to charm me.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? I know it sounds weird, but it's not like I was
Yes.
going I'm not going, "Oh my god, he's so fine. I can put up with his bullshit." No.
Okay.
It's just they know how to, charm you.
Yes.
They'll that little half a smile.
Okay. Anybody who's attractive, who really, I mean, the world has now validated their notion that they're attractive.
Mhm.
They work that angle.
Yes,
Women,
they do.
women do it, and so do good-looking men.
Yeah.
They know when they feel like they can walk into a man. I mean, I'll tell you something. A man who's really good looking, I think, may be even more dangerous than a woman because good looking men will walk into a room and be like, "I can have the pick of the litter. I can have anybody in here I want," and that's the way they behave. A good looking woman, on the flip side, I hate to say this, the competition gets a little steeper because there's a lot of really pretty women in the world. But a really good looking man, depending upon what your attraction point is, stands out like a sore thumb. Like, wow. Like, you know, a good looking man when he walks in the door, like, all men look at him and men, they hate to admit that shit. They get mad. Like, I don't think he's good looking. You know when a man looks good. Stop it. You know it. Don't lie and say that. That's just insecurity on your part because you don't want to admit it. Even other men will be like, so they know. And they know how to
Right.
work a room. So if they
Right.
can work a room, imagine what they could do behind closed doors.
Yep. Now, that'll never happen again, not for me. I don't care how you look. Okay? Can you write a check? Can you secure a mortgage? Can you pick me up in your vehicle?
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Did I go personal? But yeah, I think we give them too much of a pass. All right. We've got some more comments coming through. Someone said wave to them. I'm going to say hi, Felix. How are you? Good to see you. AKA Ross. All right. We have um Jeremy says physical, but who also has all their shit together? Yeah, go there, right? He said, my wife did comment on them as well. And Jeremy also says, Jeremy, you should just come on the show. I'm going to send him an invite. Let me see if he'll take it. What do you think, Maya? Oh, wait.
No, we'll have to consider that like the fan connection. If you give us enough good insight, all of a sudden we could throw that invite at you and you can impromptu get to join in. We could
Yeah.
always work.
Let me see if how I can send it to him. Wait, I would have to go into a different app.
Yeah, we'd have to figure all that out. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, as he said, not looking for a companion versus arm can. Like I said, it's about what your intention is.
Mhm.
But don't get me wrong. Good looking men have hustled many women. I mean, because they just have that charm, and I mean, and they know it. I once, I once dated a guy who made a comment, and he was a good-looking guy, not the best-looking guy I dated, but he was good-looking, and he was like, he thought he was the cat's meow because he was employed, had never been to jail, and he said some other stuff, and I said, I hate to burst your bubble. Those are things
You're
those are
supposed
things
to do.
you're supposed to do. You don't get a cookie for that. I said, "Oh, but you think because of certain dynamics and who you are, that makes you a hot commodity." And he believed that because he was all these things he felt that made him a hot commodity. I was like, you miss me with that. Anyway,
Exactly. Exactly my point, but it does slip through the cracks, women as well,
of
women
course
who
it
have a
does.
nice body, but again, I think the dynamics are different because men ultimately are supposed to be the breadwinners if you go traditional. And if a woman can bring to the table something other than a fork, that would be great. If a man could bring something to the table other than a fork, a knife, and a spoon, that would be great. That's where I'm at. But everybody has to do their part. And I think we can move on from the good looking brothers and
Yes.
I guess women. So Maya, how's your love life?
Do you really think I'm going to comment on that?
You're not gonna comment still?
I'm not going to comment on that. You know, I'm
Well,
private. You know, I'm private
why do you have to be private? Why do I have to be the one telling all my business?
because that's our dynamic. That's how we are. Consistency is important. I'm just a private person.
All right. Let's just say that I don't like dating. And I've always said that. One of the reasons I got married was because I don't like dating.
That's fair.
Um, yeah, it's just to me, I just want to pour into one person that deserves it. Because when I'm in a relationship, I give it my all, not some. I go all in. I decided to be with you. Okay, let me give you my all. Do I bump my head sometimes? Yes, I do. Because that person is not always deserving of my all. That's why I had to restructure how I go about getting into a relationship. At this time, I am no way, shape, or form ready to get into a relationship. I have to figure it out. I have to make sure that this is the person I want to give my all to. What's necessary to give my all to? Someone who is self sufficient, loves their own children, loves children because I have some.
Mhm.
Um, also smart. Oh my gosh. I don't want everything I say to go over your head because I do a lot of talking, right? But if you
Mm,
don't catch it, I'm going to lose interest and I'm going to cheat on you. Let's see. Someone who's funny, someone who makes me laugh, someone who likes to travel. Um, all of those things. And I know my list has gotten shorter since I've gotten older because I used to say, and their hair has to look like this, and they have to be this height, and they have to have this. No, cut it. Look, thing is this: I want to be in a relationship with a partner. Okay, someone that we can build together. We can build together. Like, man, it's not like we have to go into business together, but we can build this relationship together. That's what I want ultimately.
I think I think those are solid goals and objectives. I mean, I think you have to know what you want, but more importantly, you have to know what you don't want. Because the wants, you can work around that, but you need to know what it is you do not want in your life. You have to know what you need, what's key. Like these are my must-haves. Like this is the deal breaker. These extra over here, the wants, these are just kind of icing on the cake. But I think one of the biggest differential points that people need to understand is understanding what you no longer want from a person in a relationship. So you can weed those things out.
Yeah, that's that vulnerability that we were talking about. I think that there have been premature times when I've gotten into relationships when I was vulnerable and didn't realize it. I got tired of that absence of being in a relationship. Like, I just want companionship. And here comes this person. And I'm like, well, I know but anytime there's a but, I should move my butt.
Well, it's obviously building things of substance. I mean, there's ands, ifs, buts, ors. The question is what's in front and what's behind when you use those conjunctions. What's that
Yeah.
function? But that's what people have to understand is that if you have too many ifs, if he was this, if she was that, um, if you have too many, but he's a really great guy, she's a really great girl, but you
Yep.
know, you want to hear more ands like this worked out great and because that means you're adding something. You just, it's about how you're structuring your emotional relationship sentences. And you should pay attention to that.
Yes, absolutely that. All right, so timing is everything. Beware of your vulnerability. When it comes to your vulnerability, you might just end up in a situation that you wish you didn't accept. Because you were vulnerable, you accepted this. Because you were vulnerable, you overlooked a few red flags. You must be careful with that. What happens or what can happen if you ignore the red flags? Well, you can end up losing everything. You could end up losing your money, your job, your dignity, your reputation, time. How many summers did you waste with a bad situation? I always say, I know how many summers I've had, but I don't know how many summers I have coming up. So if I've wasted 2 summers with someone that was a waste of time or that I shouldn't have been with, then I've wasted my 2 summers.
Well, you know, you wasted time that you can't get back.
Exactly.
Time is precious. And the thing about vulnerability that people have to understand is we tend to not realize it until after the fact. But when you go back and you pay attention to, wow, I was really open to this person and I was making exceptions to things that I shouldn't have. I wasn't, really necessarily happy, but I didn't want to be alone. Those are all things you have to be mindful of. So that's why I'm not a fan of when people break up, jumping in relationships with other people, because that's just not vulnerable. Usually you're wide open, especially if you're not the person who took the exit. And I was like, take some time to step back and really see where you're at emotionally and mentally when you in relationships with people to
Yeah.
figure out, okay, what did I learn from this? Could I have done something different? Could I have done something better? What part of this was my accountability? And the accountability might have been I wasn't supposed to be here in the first damn place. I'm just serious. I opened up, a can of worms that legitimately never should have been opened. I mean, so these are the things you have to consider before you jump into being with somebody else. I hate when people jump from person to person to person. Like, I don't know, when someone tells me, oh, I've been married like 4 times, I'm running like really far away from you because you've been married too many times. Like, at what point did you not figure out what you were looking for? Or were you actually looking for anything and you just needed something in your life to fill a void?
I agree. 4 times married says that you don't value marriage to me. It screams that you getting engaged to someone is simple. I want to be a high regard, a consideration. Absolutely. Like I've been married before. And as I've said before, but my next marriage, I want it to be my last one. My last marriage. Look, somebody just popped in.
I can't see them, so I can't help you with that.
Well, let's say hello to Trey.
Oh,
Trey J. Trey J. How are you, Trey J?
hello, Trey.
Hello.
How
I'm
are
Well,
good.
you?
I'm good.
welcome to oh wait, that's not what I do. Let me put you back. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the spectacular Akai and Ray event. Trey, you've been listening to what's going on and you've not been able to comment. Sadly, I'm not sure what's going on with your audio, but it's working fine now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to switch earphones.
Ah,
All right, well, bring
text.
your energy, bring your ass, bring your ass. So, what do you have to say about what we've been talking about, Trey?
I've been missing a whole lot. I've tried to fix this thing for the last almost an hour now, but it happens sometimes. So everything, you know, I'm just trying to listen tonight, but I couldn't get in for some reason.
All right, well, let me ask you this on the spot. Drum roll. Do you think that size matters? I'm going back to the man question. Do you think that size matters with men's arrogance? For instance, the larger a man may be in that area, do you think he's going to be more arrogant?
Maybe so.
Why is that? You're a guy. Tell me why. Why would you be more arrogant?
Well, it depends. If you that's That's a good question.
Mm.
That is a good question. Wow, because I never had that problem before. But
In what way?
He's saying he's never had any complaints. What do you mean?
exactly.
Oh, okay. But you weren't arrogant about it. Now that you hear everyone saying, "Hey,"
I had never had no complaints. So why should I?
So he was
why should
confident.
you be arrogant? I see. So you're confident, so you don't have to be arrogant.
Exactly.
Okay, I can appreciate that. All right, the next topic that we had was, is timing everything when it comes to a breakup? Like, let's say you break up with someone. How
Break
long
up.
should you wait? Look, I'm adding to it. How long should you wait until you're moved on to the next relationship?
It depends how hurt are you.
Oh, that's a good one. That's so true.
Depends how hurt you are you. I mean, if some people can move on so quick, but it depends how hurt are you. Depend, if that person, if you've been with that person for, let me say, 7 years, and all of a sudden it just, she break up with you and all, and y'all been there for 7 years, and your heart is so broken. It, like I said, it depends. And some people can move on real quick,
Oh,
like
sorry, I made a
like
face.
nothing happened, But to me, if I've been in a relationship for a long time and I really fell in love with you, and all of a sudden you just want to break off with me, yeah, I'm gonna chill out for a while before I'm try to get with someone else. 'Cause if I move on to someone else, who knows? I might take out on that person because the other person did me wrong. So you got to step back and say, I know it wasn't me. So it got to be the person who broke up with me wanted, but at the same time, you got to let your heart heal.
There you go.
Wow,
Gain some perspective because this kind of rolls nicely into the final topic,
which is
grieving. And we talked about when we talked about this, we talked about grieving is something that people often misunderstand. Grieving love and beyond. Grieving is just about actually the loss of someone through death. Grieving is a loss of something that has impacted your life, that's created a void that you miss, that you can't get past. And one of the things about being in a relationship where you love someone, like you just said, if it ends and it wasn't amicable, or whatever the case may be, no matter what the situation is, people tend to go through the stages of grief, whether it's, I can't believe you did this to me, like disbelief, I can't believe it. Then sometimes it's denial, like there's no way, no, 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 this can't be real. Like that person who won't let somebody go, like you gonna love me. Denial, like they just can't let it go. And then you get to that stage where it might just be anger, like this is so not fair, how could you do this to me? And you're mad and you hate the world. And then you can get to acceptance at some point, like, wait, let me put this in perspective. What really happened here? Those same stages could apply to anything. And I think people often don't realize when they lose something of value in their life, whether it's a loved one, whether it's you break up with somebody, whether it's a job, you could be like, I loved my job. And all of a sudden I got phased out. And your job, think about people whose work define who they are and they lose something. They struggle with that. Grief exists on many platforms. Most people only associate it with death. Death could apply to many things, not just of life. Death of love, death of passion and dreams.
death of mobility.
Mm-hmm.
My dad is grieving the loss of his mobility the way it used to be right now. And I'm watching him and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta give him a pick me up. But I feel you, because grieving those relationships that don't work out, that you spent whatever time visualizing that this was it, and then it doesn't work, especially when the rug is pulled from under you. That's rough. That's
Mm-hmm.
a hard hit. and that grief is hard. What do you think, Trey?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you feel about the situation. I mean, grief. I never thought about grieving when someone break up with you. That's a good point. And all the time, I'm thinking grieving when you lose someone. Like I lost a lot of folks this year, and I'm still grieving right now because of that. And that's the reason why normally I'd be hyped right now, but for some reason I'm still grieving, and it's gonna take a minute. I'm gonna get back to myself. I'm gonna get back to myself. I just be losing a lot of folks in my circles since January, and here it is September, and I'm still losing folks. So
Mm, yeah.
it's hard.
One of the best ways I heard somebody describe grief in a random show, actually, it was WandaVision. For people who are my Marvel people, you'll know what that is. There was a conversation between Wanda and Vision, and he said that grief is love's way of trying to persevere. When you lose someone, you have to learn how to love them in a different way. They're not present. It doesn't mean the memories aren't there. It doesn't mean, you still don't feel love for them. You have to learn how to now accommodate that love in a different way because they're no longer present to receive it from you in the way that you're accustomed to. So, grief is how love tries to make the adjustment to a change that it didn't anticipate.
Hmm. Yeah. You weren't expecting it.
Hmm. And
Wow.
and it's like, how do I now put this in a different space because it still means something to me, but how do I process it? What do I do with it? And it takes time to figure out what that space, what that new normal looks like. And that's what people often struggle with.
Exactly. I struggle. Um, I'm not good at death, especially when I back in 2009 when I lost my son. That is, it took me. I went counseling for 5 years for that, but it's a sad situation. But I know we got to move on, and all I try to do is think all the good time that I have with my loved ones.
Hmm.
But it's hard sometimes. It's
No,
hard.
it is. It is. And you pinpointed something I think is important. One of the things that I tell people
Oh, I hear some
manage,
background noise.
to manage grief is remember your good memories, the things that made you laugh, so that when all of a sudden you feel overwhelmed, you pull that good memory out that makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, I want to welcome a couple of more people to the show. We have Jeremy and we also have MC, not Sucker MC, not to be confused. But we're talking about grieving, love, and beyond. Most of the time, people associate grief with a loved one that passed unexpectedly. But we're talking about how you grieve love, relationships that didn't quite work out. Jeremy, what say you on this topic?
It's been tough, kind of, with some past relationships and things of that nature. And to me, the grief is getting myself to understand and give myself time to grieve.
Yeah. And then how much time is that? I think Trey said it best. He said it depends on how bad you hurt. I never thought to put it in those terms.
hmm
Yep. And we're
For
going to wrap this up. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
for me, it took a while, but then it kind of snuck up on me, another relationship, and that's the one I'm currently in. So
Came up and got you from the back, huh, Jeremy? Like, hey, how you doing? All
very much so.
Uh-huh.
right. Okay.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jeremy. All right, Maya, you want to ask Mike the same question? Or MC, sorry.
MC, the man of mystery,
We can't see him.
the man of intrigue. I don't know.
MC. Can't see.
I can't see MC.
There he is.
There we go. So we're talking about having people understand that grieving is not a one-dimensional thing that's always associated with the loss of life. We grieve the things that we lose that mean a lot to us, and love is one thing that often people don't think about in grieving. Would you say you've experienced love to that extent that you've grieved something that way?
Um, wow. I am ending a 26-year marriage that I am grieving.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it can be, it's there's a lot of things you have to accept. Regardless of who you think is at fault, you
Hmm.
know, it's still the fact that it's an ending of a chapter. It can be considered a failure. Um, and there's a lot of and there's a lot of things that um, you know, John Mayer had a song, and he said that you never miss Christmas with them until after it's gone. You don't think about the holidays. You don't think about the types of places that you would typically go together, and that those things are going to be gone when you're going through the breakup process.
Hmm.
And so, once you begin to realize those things, that's grief. You're grieving the death of a relationship, whether it's long term or short term. In my case, long term. So. Um, and then you can become a little dismayed. A friend of mine told me he was part of a uh, what do you call it? It was um, it was a group for people going through divorce, and they told him that for every 6 years you've been married, you need at least 1 year recovery from that marriage. And I was like, wow, I've been married 6 years. I mean, 26 years. That's a lot of recovery time. so So I do agree that you can grieve relationships, because you put so much into them
Hmm.
and you trust. And, you trust, you let down your guard, you let people into your innermost thoughts. Eventually, you let people into your innermost thoughts. And, those people that you love for a long period of time, you've actually given them the ability to hurt you the most, because you are transparent with them. So
Hmm.
I definitely agree with your assessment.
All right.
Well, I just want to thank you all for being so forthcoming on the spectacular Akai and Ray event. Uh, we wanted to. I didn't expect us to end on a down note, but it is something that we all have dealt with and are all dealing with, so to speak. So I just want to thank you guys. And it's funny we had all guys tonight, and hopefully we'll get some female perspectives on another upcoming show. But I just want to thank you all for being here with us tonight and listening. Thank you
Hmm.
for subscribing to the show. Thank you for sharing it, commenting, and all of those things. Jeremy, you gave us a lot of comments tonight, and Trey, I know you had technical difficulties. And Mikey, sorry, MC, you came in and actually shared what you're working on. So kudos to all of you. Hearts and prayers to all of you. And thank you so much for being a part of the adult conversations that we had tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
No problem.
Good night.
Night.
Good night. Wow. All right, Maya, what a way to end a show like ours.
That's right. Go big or go home. I'm just kidding.
I accidentally hit with the wrong sound bite, but I really want to say that I love doing this show with you. We got a few more to go. We're gonna get our rhythm back, and I know next week we've got some really fun topics to go over this
Yeah.
week. So yeah, I just want people to know if your ears are burning because we said certain words, just keep tuning in and you'll get used to it.
Okay, we're all gonna grow up and be adults at some point.
Yeah.
And I want to leave the show with a nugget. That's gonna be my thing. Maya's counseling nugget for you. And I said this to you, like, wait, say that again. But I read it someplace and I said, the gravity to this is so important. What is normal to a spider is chaos for a fly.
Dang.
So remember, when you're working so hard to meet somebody else's standards or expectations or normalize a life that doesn't make sense to you, ask yourself, are you trying to normalize chaos? And if you are, why? Again, what is normal for a spider is chaos for a fly. And if you don't know what that means, just think about a spider web. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. And they're so perfectly, they're beautiful, but they're dangerous because that fly is going to get eaten.
Yeah, it's not a yeah. So yes, thank everyone for tuning in. Yes, as we move on, it'll get better. More things will happen, more guests. If you like that impromptu-ness, you too can get involved in the conversation. Just reach out to LaDonna.
Uh, yeah, wow. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. All right. Again, you've tuned in to the spectacular Akai and Raeh event. I'm your host, LaDonna Raeh,
I am Maya Akai.
and that's it for us tonight. We'll see you next Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe and comment, share, and like, and all that fun stuff. But we'll see you next week at the same time, 8 p.m. Central. If it's too late for you, stay up anyway. We're going to end this show now. See you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Wow.
Peace.
Deuces.
Did you say deuces?
Yeah,
People still say deuces?
I do.
Oh, my God.
And that's all that matters. See? Be you. Don't worry about what other people do.
I just didn't want them to not understand you. I mean, if they like, what does deuces mean?
Okay. Everybody listening to this show is old enough to damn well know what deuces means.
Okay, so deuces?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I think your bra's too tight. End the show.